Okay, so the second thing I want to say to you then about the integration of the plan is as we go through the next part and we talk a little bit about the rooms that we're building, one of the things that you're going to see is that there will be times at which I will refer to a buyback space. And a buyback space is something new gets built here and it buys back a space in this building that can be used differently. And so as we go along, one of the things that you'll see is that there's opportunities for other programs in which we can buy back some space for them as we go along. So just know that if I mention a buyback space, that's what I'm talking about. Let's look very specifically at then the new building. Let's look at the components of the new building and sort of think about how these different components work together. Obviously, when you look at a building like this, you start to look at the different entrances. There are about 5 or 6 ways to get into this building. Coming from the east, you can come into this building from the south, from the southwest, from the due west. And of course, the way most of us will begin to look at this building at least is we'll enter through this north door and come into this beautiful lobby. And the lobby's an important space, as I said at the beginning. It's a beautiful space. It matches what we have already. The stone matches what we have in our current facilities. Same kind of color schemes. It's a very high ceiling. It's a very inviting space. It makes a very good first impression. Now, one of the things I want to say to you about this, though, is that when we got this first rendering back, we all looked and immediately said the same thing. Why are there steps there? Because we didn't ask for steps. We didn't say, hey, let's put steps in there. We think it'll make it look better. The architect came back with this design. And the reason the architect came back with this design is because, believe it or not, our property slopes from north to south about 8 to 10 feet. Now, when you're standing on Main Street, you look at this property and you think it's just a big old flat piece of prairie land. But the reality of it is that there is a slope that gradually kind of goes from north to south. What that means is as we build further to the south, we have to be able to accommodate that. And so one of the things that was happening is that in the early renderings of this building, see if I can, let's go here, find the right rendering. In the early renderings of this building, one of the things that was happening was this looked like it was beginning to sink into the ground because of the grade, and if you had it at ground level and at grade, it just looked like that the building was beginning to sink below the circular drive. And so because of that, what the architects did to make the accommodation was they basically put the steps in. And so what that does is it brings the building back up, and it obviously gives us the lobby space in which we have to come down into the building. Now, obviously, if you're going to have to come down into the building, you've got to make accommodation for people who can't do steps, and that's what you're seeing here. Basically, you come out of the lobby, you come into the lobby and go to the right, and there is a wheelchair or an access ramp right here. So if you can't get down the steps, you'll come to the right and come down the ramp into the building this way. Somebody asked me, why didn't we just build a ramp here? Part of the thing is that when you get into ADA requirements, you've got to have a gradual enough slope to be able to accommodate. So you can't build something that's too steep. And so that's why the ramp is not here. That's why the ramp graduates slowly down on this right side. Now, the other thing I will tell you is that you obviously can get in without using the steps if you come from the east. You also can get into this building at grade if you come in here. We believe most of the handicap parking for this new building will be right here on the southern end, and you'll come right in here and we'll be able to come into the sanctuary here. So there is accessibility in this. We want the lobby to be a beautiful space, but we also want the lobby to be an accessible space, and I think that it will be. I think it's going to be good in terms of what it is that we're trying to do. But with the schedule being spread out a little more, what it does is it allows for us to use space like this a little better. If we're not running from place to place or trying to get people in and out, we got 20, 25 minutes between services. This is a place then where you can sign up for things. This is a place where you can visit with other people. This is a place where we can greet newcomers appropriately. And so the lobby space becomes really significant because it gives us the ability to do that when it's coupled with the new schedule that we will have.